Hello there and welcome to this vlog of July 2023, and today's video is going to be about the mechs that I feel were left out of the last Kickstarter. Important to note, this isn't a mourning video because overall they have to kind of get the core mechs, and I think all those kind of core iconic mechs are now done. A couple of exceptions maybe, but we'll talk about that as we go through this. But generally speaking, I think we're now in the kind of, we've got the must-haves. We're now on kind of the should-haves or the could-haves, if you want to put it that way. And I feel like there is a scope here for another Kickstarter, really to kind of even like sweep up the rest of those like post-clan invasion mechs from, well, I say post-clan invasion, I'm not talking about going into like the Jihad and the Dark Age. I'm talking about that like 20-year period between like the clan invasion and the word of Blake kicking off. So what is it? Yeah, it's like a 17-year period, right? And there's a lot of like technical innovations in that era, a lot of new mechs. It's almost like, I suppose, wave 2 of BattleTech, that where they've got this like they move away from like the old Succession War era mechs and they start creating their own variants. This list is predominantly to do with those mechs, so you'll find these mechs in and around like the TROs for like 3055 or 3063. There are a couple of exceptions. There will be a couple of like mechs in here that are like Star League era, but generally speaking, I'm really kind of focusing in on that like post-clan invasion era, which is where the Kickstarter is currently at, really. So if they do another one, I think you probably would expect to see quite a few of the mechs that I'm going to cover here today. Right, let's get into it. So number 10 on the list, and he's already on the screen in front of us, is the Akuma. The Akuma is a Draconis Combine mech. It was a Teddy Karita like initiative because they wanted assault mechs to go up against clan mechs, and good assault mechs as well, mechs that could like handle their own, had good armor, all that kind of good stuff. So the Akuma really does fit that bill. It's almost, I suppose, if you want to put it like this, it's like a Draconis Combine Atlas. It's even got like the smirking, like grinning skull type face going on there. What I'll do as well when we're going through this, I've just gone into Flex here, so I'll just go into, I'll type the names in so we can have a look at their loadouts. You can see the Akuma, this is the 1X, so 3058. Got some incredible weaponry on here. It's got an ERPPC, an Impulse, MRM30, a medium laser, Streak SRM6, Streak SRM4, and an LB10X. So it's really packing, is that mech. The only problem it really has is its heat management is pretty bad, so it only does 26 points of heat sinking. That just doesn't cover this, as you can see. So you really need to play this mech, by basically you'll probably use the ERPPC and the MRM, and then you'll try to close down. And if you get close to an enemy, then you'll start using especially the SRM spam there, and obviously the medium laser, the medium pulse. The LB10X you can use pretty much anywhere on this. No minimum penalties, got decent range on it. It's one of the best weapons in the game. So you'd probably, there's no reason why you wouldn't fire that like every turn. It's got 20 points of ammo as well. So really, really great way to use the LB10X on an assault mech like this. The standout weapon here though, really, well, it is the LB10X as well, but the other one really is the MRM30. That can be a devastating weapon. If you've never played with MRMs before, go and try it because they're really fun. As the name, it's a medium range missile, right? So it's basically halfway between an SRM and an LRM, but you can do this like incredible level of damage. So it gets that 30 points of damage on the cluster, potentially 30 points of damage. Decent ammo levels as well, so it's got 16 points of ammo. Where I do like this mech as well is, its levels of ammo are great. I mean, that can be slightly problematic, especially because it doesn't have case, so you might get big explosions going on. Although it does have good levels of armor, and it's got a lot of padding out as well. So, you should, well, see, if you go too far into the game, if you're on like turn 10 plus, then you'll probably be in trouble with it. But because all your armor will have been destroyed and maybe some components, but it's one of those mechs that it can hold armor in an okay way. Typical Draconis Combine, though, they don't care about the pilots, so they just basically, don't bother putting case on. Another really good thing about this mech in a way is that it's only got a regular fusion engine, so there's none of the XL engine trauma to think about when you're dealing with the Innosphere XL anyway, because it's got those 3 points on left and right torsos, which you can be really, can just take your mech out of action. I kind of just look at the Akuma as almost like just like a run and gun mech. Like you probably are going to get melted if you go up against the clans, but if you throw like a lance of these in, it's got devastating firepower on there and it probably will wreck a lot of face, but your pilot's probably not going to survive and you're probably not going to withdraw from combat because you don't have that, like, you've got a less chance of getting engine critted and then having to kind of punch out or have to retreat if you're playing with forced what's the word now, when you forced retreat or whatever they call it, where you basically, if you lose a side torso, then you've got to either roll morale checks if you're playing that way, or you've got to force withdrawal. There you go, that's the term I'm looking for. So yeah, really, really good mech. Again, love how it looks. I think it's a mech that I don't actually own one of the old metal minis, but I'd imagine it looks, I don't know. I mean, usually if they've got the faces and it's like anthropomorphized, they look okay. Like the Atlas looks good with the old metal models, especially the kind of recent, the Atlas 2 version that they did looks absolutely fantastic. But with this one, I would love to see it in plastic. That would be fun. So hopefully it's something we get anyway. And again, if you're using it for its like fluff purposes, which is to go up against clans, it's really, really strong from the weapon loadout that we saw there. Just don't expect your pilots to return with no case, but they'll do a lot of damage before they basically die. Next up then, number 9, we have got the Galloglass. Might be an odd one, you're thinking this is on here, but there's a kind of a commercial reason why. This is a mech that I really associate with like the Northwind Highlanders. I think they're like one of their regiment commanders uses one. I quite like the look of the mech as well. It looks a bit like an updated Zeus. Just like it. Just like it's got this like weird paddle feet thing. I'd just like to see it in like new plastic. I think commercially as well, it's a good idea for Catalyst to do that because they're really trying to push the mercenaries thing. So this is a mech that that if you are collecting for the Northwind Highlanders, which are one of the like foremost mercenary powers in BattleTech, then a good one to have. Let's have a look at this chap's loadout anyway. So Galloglass, where is it? There he is. So yeah, I think it's that version there. Honestly, as a mech, it's not that great. I'd say it's serviceable. It's a weird mech because it's almost seen as like a commander mech because it's got like very high up echelon of the Northwind Highlanders using it. But to me, it's very much like a soldier mech. It's got a fusion engine on there, so it can last longer. It's just padded out all over with heat sinks, which is great, obviously, for survivability. 36 points of heat management as well, which is amazing. I say okay levels of armor for a 70-tonner, but it's one of those mechs that you just expect, to run quite a few of them against your enemy, and it can bring quite good levels of pain as well with its weapon loadout. It's got an ERPPC. I know a lot of people don't like that because it does less damage than like the clan ERPPC, and it does that 15 points of heat. But again, for a mech with that many heat sinks, it's not that bad. Good to see as well, it drops down from the ER L laser to the regular L laser. The Innosphere ER L laser is like famously worse than the L laser. So yeah, I mean, that's not true all the time. Sometimes it can be okay on a mech which can deal with the heat, but if you had 2 ERL lasers on here, it's an extra 4 points of heat for each one, and that would just put it over that threshold, what it can do. So this is a mech, it can hit from range. It's got, speed's nothing to write home about, and it's got 3 jump jets, which isn't great. I mean, you really want it to look 4.64. This is a 4.63, so yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not the end of the world stuff, but it's just like you can't really do much with a 3 jump, especially on like a heavy mech. but you know it's got decent range, so you can use it as basically a mech just to kind of cause trouble to your enemy, get some like positional play with it. Won't be that expensive either, I don't think, because it's only got the 3 jump jets. I mean, usually you do pay a lot for those. Double heat sinks might put the cost up a little bit though, but you know, generally speaking, it's a solid mech. And again, more a mech that I'd like to see for them to do because it ties in with the big mercenary push that they've got. And if they are going to keep bringing out these like new force packs for the mercenaries, you know, maybe they do another Eridani Lighthorse, maybe they do another Northwind Highlanders, and this is one that you could probably get in there. Right, next up then, number 8, we have the Berserker. The Berserker is... I'm fine with the Berserker. I think it's a fine mech. I quite like the design on it. It's an absolute beast. I don't like the old metal model. It looks too static, so I'd love to see that in plastic. Predominantly, though, why this mech is on here is because I know that the community really want it. If truth is to be believed, then Catalyst did say they would do this mech in one of the Kickstarters, but it never materialised in Kickstarter 1 or 2. So here's hoping it does get a place somewhere down the line. It's a mech that I associate with the Lyrans. So maybe the Lyrans, we do know, for instance, that we're getting like Inner Sphere Force packs, although I think that might be for Omni Inner Sphere mechs. If not, if they broaden it out, then you could definitely put the Berserker in like the Lyran like force pack. That would be quite a good fit. While I talk about Omnis, actually, I should have mentioned this at the start. There are going to be no Inner Sphere Omnis in this because we do know we're getting them, so they were just irrelevant to put in. Back to the Berserker though, it's a very solid mech on tabletop. There's one thing that make it quite crunchy, which we'll just have a look at here. I think it's the A3, which is the standard variant. And what makes this mech special is that it has mask on here. So it's 100-tonner with mask, and it means that it can sprint 8. That sprint means that you can then potentially get a hatchet to bear into the fray relatively quickly with a sprint 8 against the opposition. So it gives you a wonderful area of control because nobody dares come near you. 100-tonner with a hatchet is an absolute brutal, proposition. So really solid mech. I mean, its weapon loadout is not great aside from that. I mean, it's got the anti-missile system on there, which is useful. Always welcome a Guardian ECM because they can be useful. The Flamer is useless on here, really. But, I mean, you can see it's on the head, so it's really just for show. Like, it's just jetting out flames into the sky, scaring its opposition. That's what it kind of should be seen as here. Weapon loadout, again, I'm more sympathetic to putting large pulse lasers on there because it's faster. So it means that you can come to bear on your enemy quicker. ERPPC's okay as well on this mech because it does 32 points of heat sinking. So yeah, it's a solid mech, and I understand why people want it. It does look like quite a cool mech as well. So it's something I'd certainly advocate in the new plastics. Next up then, number 7, we have the Raijin. The Raijin is one of my favourite looking mechs in BattleTech. I really, really wanted them to do a new variant of this in plastic. I believe the metal one holds up. I don't actually own it, but I've seen it. I've seen them painted. But I think why I love this mech is it's just... I mean, the designer's done a fantastic job because it looks like BattleTech, but it's so un-BattleTech-y. Right, it's just got this really weird... Look at the cockpit there, this protrusion from the centre torso. Got these circular missile carriers. I love everything about it. It almost looks like a dinosaur or something. And I do think that the clans have their own unique identity and way that their mechs look, which I personally don't like. I don't like the clan aesthetic. The Inner Sphere, though, have got quite, I suppose, a boring standard way of doing things, which is, kind of ties into their, lore, because they are, they have less industrial power during the succession wars, so everything's just got to be done kind of, as, symmetrically as possible, just to kind of cut costs and stuff like that. This mech, though, is the antithesis of that, and it's a mech that came around in 3052, I believe, during the Battle of Tukid, so that's where it was fielded. used by the con guards against the clans. But for me, this should have been like the prototype design for those like new Inner Sphere mechs, because it's like that fusion of like weird, quirky clan tech with, you know, like the new Inner Sphere design going on from the Renaissance era. So yeah, I love this mech so much. Just love how it looks. Let's see how it performs on tabletop then. So the Raijin, I think it's just the 101X, right? I think that's the standard variant. Yeah, so you can see, first thing to note, really quick, so it's a 696. Armor's relatively low there, but I mean, it's only a 50-ton mech, so that's fine. It's got an XL engine as well, so that'll put its survivability down quite a bit, but, you know, it's not completely useless. You know, it's got like... you know, other things on the torso. So there's SRM6 there. There's the ER PPC. Also got some ammo as well, but this time it's got case, so more survivable if you're playing like narrative games. Weapon loadout is actually really good for a 50-tonner. It's 1 ER PPC, 3 medium pulse, 1 SRM6, and a streak SRM2. So it does really high levels of damage for a 50-tonner. Yeah, so I mean, you could... Again, it's. I almost see this as like a swarm mech. You know, you'd want to do like a lance of them to bring up against the clans and to go and like hunt and destroy the light mechs of the clans, because it's got such a good weapon loadout, and it's relatively quick and maneuverable. So you could kind of hunt down something like a Koshi, and you could just wreck it, because it has like very little armor on there. So really, actually quite a powerful mech, I think, the Raijin. Probably quite underrated. Next up then, number 6, we have the Razorback. The first of the Mech Commander 2 mechs. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more on this list here. But the Razorback is the Lyran Commonwealth's like light mech of choice during like the Fedcom Civil War. Love this mech. I love how it looks. It's got like the shark fin, which I really want to see that in plastic. I love its feet as well. It looks very dainty. It almost looks like it could be trotting across the battlefield. Really simple design. It's just like this like cockpit. It's got big windows, so it's there as a scout mech. It's got machine guns on as well, so it can be used to kind of hunt down infantry. So yeah, I just love the Razorback. It's one of my favourite mechs from Mech Commander 2. Let's have a look at how he bears on BattleTech then. So it's the 9S, so it's 3063. Here we are. So it's got the ERL laser, and that's a good example of where the ERL laser actually works, you see, because it only does 12 points of heat. Well, that's a lot actually. It does 12 points of heat, but with 20 heat sinks, this is a cool running mech. It can never generate heat. The maximum it can generate is 2 from a run, 12 from the ERL laser, and then 3 from the SRM4, which I believe gives you a total of 15? 12, 13. No, 17 points of heat. So, yeah, just really, really like the Razorback. Another really good thing about this mech, it's got a light engine. The light engine is basically the Inner Sphere fix for the XL engine. So you can see it puts those 2 points of like engine on the torsos, which means if you lose the torso, you don't automatically lose the mech. It's got case on there, and it's a padded out torso, so it's quite a relatively safe like ammo like location. Lots of double heat sinks as well. Oh well, 3 to it's good and bad that the double heat sinks for the Inner Sphere take up that 3 slots, because it does mean that they are bigger and pad more stuff out, so it's better for crits, but it's then worse for what you can get on the actual mech itself. But yeah, this mech, I think it's really underrated, this mech. I think it's quick as well. It's got that 6.9, which I suppose in 3063 for a light mech's not that quick. But, you know, it's a harasser mech. It can get up close and do quite nasty things with the SRMS 4, the Streak SRM4, and then the 4 machine guns as well. Decent levels of armour as well for a 30-tonner, I think. Which is, I suppose, again, fits into its lore because it's a Lyran mech, so it's almost like it wants to be a medium mech, and most, you know, Steiner mechs will always be trying to be the weight above them, because they love their big like weapon loadouts and lots of armour and things like that. So yeah, big fan of the Razorback, big fan of how it looks, and I'd love to see the plastic version of it. Next up then, number 5. Oh, and it's another Mech Commander 2 mech. It's the Anubis. And this is really the Capellan counterpart for the Fedcom Civil War in terms of light mechs. Let's have a look at his one end. Sorry, Anubis. So it's a 3L again, just like the Razorback's 3063 era mech. I love the Anubis. It's got terrible armor, but it's very quick. So you can see there, it's got the 12 run. 4 LRM5, so you're basically just like running this around the outskirts of the battlefield, pinging off LRMs at your enemy. Also got good electronics on there. It's got the Guardian ECM. Does have the XL engine though, so unlike the Razorback, it doesn't have the light engine. No case either, so Anubis go boom. I say it's not too bad. It's a 1 in 6 chance, isn't it, on the left torso? So it's pretty good ammo placement actually. You're more using this mech though for either just doing like long range skirmishes, or you've got the Guardian ECM, so you'd want whatever advantages you can get. So you might just run it as like a running mech, try to disrupt like a C3 network, something like that. So it's absolutely not as good as the Razorback is the Anubis, but it still has its place, and it's quick, and strategically it can be a good mech as well. Like it's got the ability to go like capture objectives for you, and then just like ping LRM 5s off and just try to do as much damage as it can from afar. Next up then, so number 4, we have got, it's the Hollander, another I don't know if this was made for Mech Commander 2, but it's certainly in and around that era. I've got to be honest, I don't like the Hollander, really. But I've put this so high on the list because I've heard so many people clamouring for it. Because it's just a big gun. It's a Gauss rifle on a 30-ton mech, so it's got a real novelty to it. And just for the community, I'd really like to see this one done, because I know so many people have fond memories of this chap. Let's have a look at him anyway. He's actually quite a simple... Yeah, it's a 3054 mech, so I don't think this will have been specifically for Mech Commander 2. But yeah, nice and simple. Fusion engine. I mean, why would you waste anything more on that? Because you've just got one gun on there. It's got a Gauss rifle with 16 points of ammo, which is actually quite good. On tabletop, it's not too bad at all. 5.8, so you just kind of keep it, much like the Anubis, but this one can do some real damage. Just keep it on the outskirts of the battlefield, firing in. Armor levels are pretty terrible for it's a 35-ton mech, not a 30-ton mech. But again, you ain't ever going to be getting up close with this thing. You're just going to be firing from afar. And even if you get say 3 hits in a game, that can be worth it. I mean, potentials as well, like with a Gauss rifle, you can really kind of chew mechs up with it. So if you kind of pick your target with it and you know what you're doing, it's fine. Again, I mean, you might as well put no heat sinks on this thing, but it does have 10 obviously through the engine. It's got 2 supplementary heat sinks there actually. Slight problem, like nothing on the left torso, so if anything does get through there, it goes right through to the centre torso as crits go. That can be brutal. I suppose one major issue here as well is because it doesn't have much armour, the Gauss rifle can be critted just by taking out 1 point of it. So if you lose that Gauss rifle, you're basically just a walking head and legs. So, what you're going to do, I mean, even it's not going to do any punch damage. It does have hands, but it only does 4 damage. So I suppose you could run and kick an enemy. So it really is a one-trick pony, and it's not very good. But I just love people's passion for it. You can't ever equate anything in BattleTech with an urban mech, because the urban mech is so derpy and people love it so. But I think the Hollander's not a million miles away from that. It's almost like an Urbi Mark II, just with a better gun on there, but very kind of similar premise. Next up then, number 3, we have the Saisan. Now, I've got to say, this is only in here because it's one of my favourite mechs. Will they do the Saisan? Who knows? It desperately needs a new mech plastic variant, though. I've got to, as much as I love playing this mech on tabletop for reasons we'll get into in a second, I really can't stand the design. It's just too much. It's too weird. I don't know what's going on with these legs. It's got rocket launchers on the legs. I don't know. It's just odd. Can't stand the axe either. It just looks like it just doesn't look like a proper mech. It's very stupid. And I just love it to be completely like redesigned properly. You know, where someone kind of takes these weird little idiosyncrasies and builds them into a mech that looks like fit for service. You know, it's a Capella mech, so there are certain things that do resonate on there. So you've got like, you know, it's got that little like helmet head, which a lot of Capella mechs have. So keep that by all means, but just, I don't know, it just needs a redesign. But anyway, let's have a look at this mech because it's an absolute monster. So this is the 9H. You can see it's a 3059 era mech. Possibly one of my favourite mechs to play on tabletop. Absolutely love it. Why do I love it so? And I've spoken about this on the channel before. It's got TSM, and I do love me some TSM. TSM, if you don't know, triple strength myoma. When you hit 9 points of heat, you basically you go faster. The mech goes faster, and you double your melee attack. So you can see like kicks do 24 points of damage. The hatchet does 24 points of damage. When you couple that in with a run of 11, so you know we spoke about the Berserker earlier doing 20 points of damage with mask. This is a 60-ton mech. It does 4 points more damage with the hatchet, and it goes 3 hexes faster. It's a maniac, absolutely insane. What I love about it most, though, is that it's been designed by someone who's obviously sociopathic and lunatic, because this mech is just made to kill. You know, it just, anything it can do to get your heat up like more efficiently. And obviously, I spoke about the derpy legs. They are jump jets, obviously, on there. They just look weird. If we go back to the picture, there are 4 of them, and then there are only, sorry, wrong one. There are only then 2 on each leg, so it's just a weird little idiosyncrasy, that, which I don't like. I mean, you can't ever get 4 jump jets on there, but just put 2 round the back. I don't know, why have you put 4 there? It just looks odd. Anyway, yeah, but it can jump 6, which is great because that really gets your heat up. Its weaponry is then all laser based, so it's got 5 ERM lasers. ERM lasers are great. 4 ERS lasers. Got tag on there for good measure. Tag doesn't do any heat, obviously, but as soon as you get into range of anything, you just start blasting away, jumping around, getting your heat up. There's no ammo, so you don't have to worry about, you know, like ammo explosions, anything like that. Armor levels are good as well, although it does have the XL engine, which, I mean, I don't hate the XL engine as much as most people. You know, I think once you start getting chewed into on your side torsos anyway, it's kind of end game for a mech. So whether it's the engine that takes it out, or an ammo explosion, or, you know, crits on the gyro or transferring or whatever, like, you know, it might soften you up and get you out of the game like 1 or 2 turns earlier. But for me, if you're kind of using this mech correctly and trying to garner as much heat as you can as quickly as you can, you've got that run of 11, so you can just march in there and start wrecking face. And, you know, just think about those levels of damage there. If you're going up even against like assault mechs, which are going to be a lot slower than you, so get right up into its face, potentially on its like rear arc, so it can't punch you back. Hatchet, you know, and then just spam those like ERS lasers, which are, you know, do pretty low levels of heat. Awesome mech, absolutely awesome mech, and just in desperate need of a redesign. But again, completely my subjective choice for this one. I don't think many other people are clambering for the Saisan, because it's a mech that, I don't know, maybe it's just I like it because it fits my style of play, but it's a mech I don't really hear that many people talking about, weirdly enough. Right, next up, top 2 now, number 2, we have the Champion. The Champion is a mech, much like the Raijin. It's got that like really weird, quirky look. It's like a, you know, a plain fuselage or whatever with these weird like reverse wings, and it's just, I mean, the picture is not the best, and the old metal model is really not up to much. So I'd love to see someone just like redesign it correctly. Unlike the Raijin, which I think you could just like literally do that. The image that I showed earlier is like blueprint. You don't have to change that. Looks amazing. This could desperately use like a new fit out. It's a mech as well that you see everywhere. It appears in a lot of forces. People like it. It's in like the mech, you know, new Mech Commander 5 game. It appears in that quite a bit. So it's just a mech that needs some love, and I really am keen for them to do it. Let's have a look at this chap anyway. So the champion. This is a mech that's actually, you can see here it's quite an early mech, 2602. So we'll have a look at that one. Yeah, the 2N is the Succession War era. So let's have a look at the 1N. Yeah, this does have like pretty sophisticated weaponry on there. In fact, let's look at both. Let's look at the 2N as well. The 1MB is the Star League era, so that'll be very crunchy and have double heat sinks and everything. Yeah, here we are. So which one should we use? I mean, they're both very similar. I suppose we should really use the 2N because that's the downgrade. The 1N's a great option though. You know, if you're playing like law kind of games and you want to say, oh, we've got an old mech from yesteryear. It's got an LB10X on there, whatever. But like the 2N has obviously downgraded everything, so it's got like an auto cannon 10 on there. So this is a Succession War era mech, remember, so it won't be that good. But you've got on here. Oh, actually, is there a? Yes, there is a 3052 era as well. So this will be a tuck-eared version. It's probably this version I should analyse actually, because that will stay to form with the rest of the mechs, which are all kind of post-clan post-clan invasion mechs. So yeah, let's do that. Change your mind. Let's do that. Right. So the 3N. So it's got 2 L lasers, 2 M lasers, 2 S lasers, SRM6 and Artemis, and an LB10X. Really quite a solid mech. There's 20 points of heat sinking. That's actually not bad. I mean, it's good that they've not put the ERL lasers on there, so they put regular L lasers on, which is a good move on this. So you'd probably be shooting with that and the LB10X up to range, and then probably just dropping out one of the L lasers as you get closer, so it's pretty solid. You can see it does, even though it has upper arm actuators, it doesn't have lower or hands, so it only does 3 points of damage on a punch. But I think with this mech, you know, given it's got, I mean, it's a 60 tonner, it's got really quite low levels of armor for a 60 tonner, but it's a mech that you're just really going to be wanting to go and mash your enemy into pieces with it, to be honest. So, you know, like, just try and get it to survive for as long as you can. You can kind of see that reflects in the design because it's got the XL engine and it's got no case. So they've just kind of gone, put the ammo on there, on the side torsos. It's not badly placed ammo by any stretch there. I mean, it's not like you've just got 1 point of ammo like on some mechs. So you'd have to get very unlucky for an ammo explosion with like 1 or 2 crits. But ultimately, it's a mech that, you know, it kind of, that 3052 era where they're going up against the clans, they're using mechs that can, you know, like en masse industrial, just to kind of destroy the kind of clans, the initiative that they have with technology. So it's just like throw as much good tech as we can in there and just try to wreck as much as we can. And the champion very much kind of touches that philosophy in this new design here. Going back to the old Succession War designs were probably not very good because you can see it only had 10 single heat sinks, but you know, the same with all Succession War mechs, they're all pretty badly designed on that front. But yeah, again, would love to see the champion. Hopefully that's something in the pipeline. Number 1 then, and I think you probably all know what it is because I think I've spoken numerous times about how much I want this mech. It is the Kintaro. Okay, so the Kintaro. First of all, this picture here is pretty much exactly how the metal model looks, and it's no surprise that the metal model is trash because this design's not very good. It's a really, like, I love the Kintaro. I love, like, it's just such a, I mean, we'll talk about it on tabletop because it's an incredibly hot running mech, and this, but I love I love the design of it. It's like I love and hate this picture and the metal model, and I just love to see like a new vibrant plastic model designed by someone who's like really takes time over it and care. And again, much like the Saisan, like uses those kind of core principles. Like this has got the round head. It's almost got like the you know, the bandy legs type thing going on here. It's got these like weird dragon paws. You know, it's just got lots of interesting features on there, and I just love to see that like designed correctly, and like outside of derpy, just make it into something that looks like cool and tangible. Let's have a look at the Kintaro on tabletop then. So we really, again, the C version will have C3, right? So we won't be looking at that version. Yeah, let's just have a look at one of the latter ones here then. Oh, another. Probably because it's this is a mech that I believe that Comstar give to the Draconis Combine. So that's the C3 all over this thing because of that. So I tell you what, let's just treat ourselves and we'll just look at the Star League era version, which is the 19B. B, of course, stands for better. That's what I tell everybody anyway. If you look at the Succession War version of this, it will be a nightmare. So we'll because it just won't have any kind of heat management. Even this one has pretty, it has okay heat management, but in fact, no, I think this with the double heat sinks, it actually works quite well. So yeah, definitely go this way then. If you're playing law games, just be like, oh yeah, we found a B somewhere because this is a cool mech to run. So it's a 5.8, so it's pretty quick for a 55 tonner. It's a big, you can see it's just an incredible SRM, LRM spammer. One LRM 15, two M lasers, two SRM 6s, and a NARC missile beacon, which is always quite a nice, interesting thing to have. Again, this is a Star League era, so keep that in mind. But you can see it's got the lots of ammo on there, but it does have case. Also has the XL engine, so it's quite easy to kill. Armor's okay for a 55 tonner, but it's just the levels of damage that it can bring to your enemy. I mean, that getting up on close with this thing, with that two SRM6s and two M lasers, you're going to bring the pain. I would have loved to have seen this mech in the Comstar boxes that came out. I think that's exactly where it should have fit. Even though, as we saw when we were just having a look at a recce of any of the later era ones, they're all the Draconis Combine ones. So you would have to really go back and play the 19 or the 19B. You can see the 19. I think the 19's just got the regular 10 single heat sinks on there. So it's a mech that's got no real love post Clan Invasion at all. But I still think for me that's a reason why you'd maybe bring it back for the Ilkan era or something like that. Like give it a new redesign, keep the same kind of ethos, so keep it as a missile boat, but just kind of upgrade it, with the new tech. Although I mean, I say upgrade, it's already an Amazing version because it's a Star League version, but you're not necessarily going to find Star League mechs in and around 3050s. They're not going to be common. They will exist, but and that technology has kind of been retrofitted and improved on by that time because the clans have kind of come back into the fold and their technology's now out there. But yeah, it's a mech I just really, really would love to see. So, and look, there he is again, looking very, very derpy. Again, I don't know if the boat has sailed on this. Maybe they've just got no plans to do it. But it's something I just urge Catalyst to. There's the one mech on here that I'd love to. It's the one mech that I really think is lacking. I know everyone's got love for the Hollander. People want the Berserker, but for me, they're all kind of coulds and should haves. I think this is a must have. I think the Kintaro, especially post the BattleTech 2018 game, where it's really quite a prominent mech in that because it's Lady Arano's core mech before she gets the Atlas. So it's the Atlas 2, is it? I think she gets in that. But in this, the Kintaro in that's a bit of a hero mech, and they do redesign it as well. It looks very different from this mech, and I'd love to see a variant of that in the, in another Kickstarter or somewhere down the line, or just anything. Just give me something with a Kintaro in it. So that's it. Anyway, that's my top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not one who says, you've never heard me say subscribe to the channel or anything. So I kind of say what I'm about to say. I kind of bracket in with that. If you put your comments below as what you'd like to see, I always feel very crass saying that. It's like you're trying to kind of have YouTube algorithm, input or something, and I just don't care about things like that. But I'm only interested in it for the conversation and the interest, because I think people do read the comments as well. So, and I'm not saying CGL, look at my channel or anything, but, it's one of those, let's get the Kintaro made. We really want it. And I know that they know that. They'll get fed that back a lot. But I think if we can get some buzz around it, and then, someone from CGL is maybe doing some recce's on what kind of mechs to do next, and they'll see the comments. Because, BattleTech's still not that prominent across YouTube. So if there's videos like this going out, I suppose it can act as a bit of a commercial you know, impetus for them to go and do stuff. So if that's it, please give me the Saisan and the Kintaro, please. Fingers crossed. That's all I ask for. Yeah, so you know, again, put it into the comments what you'd like to see, what you think of this list, everything else, because I do think there's another Kickstarter coming. I think when this one gets done, I really do think the one after this will have to be, it will either have to be quite small, and they'll mop up the mechs from like the Fedcom Civil War era, maybe do like a few Jihad era mechs or something like that, or like Word of Blake, or they're just going to bypass it all entirely and go right up into the Ilkhan era, which is, I think, commercially probably would be the best option for them to do. And in that case, you know, when they do bring out like new books and it's got new designs in there, I mean, I might have just missed it. There might be a new Kintaro in there, and that gives them then like a new can't say that word. Gives them like, you know, the opportunity to go and create, you know, these like mechs that people want, put them into a new era, get like a new Kickstarter off the back of it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. I will be back. I think work's a bit busy at the moment, so and I've been recording recently with Death from Above as well. So I'm trying to get these out as and when I can. But if I am delayed or I kind of miss the Friday schedule, just know that I'll try to work around it, and that a video will probably drop over the next few days where that happens, like in this case. Anyway, I'll thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you again next time.